Yes, so welcome back. I was saying, I talk about how money is an acronym for my own natural energy yield. And coming into that knowledge, something within me broke. And I kept coming back to these conversations. Like, it's like no matter what I do, I still find myself in this place with little or no money. And I told you I worked because I was so scared of not having money and not being able to pay my bills. I literally worked until I couldn't work anymore. I was physically ill. Everything was collapsing around me. Actually, that's what it appeared to me to be. Things were being rearranged in my life. You see, because at the point I found out that my two mentors shared that with me, and they didn't have any conversations with each other. The Abosom knew that it was time for me to know the truth. And I had been teaching metaphysics. I had gone through so much healing and everything to be brought to this place and of emotional devastation. And I'm like, how in the world could I be so deceived? I know I never said I had a difficult relationship with my mom because she was telling me stories before I even knew myself, like remember myself, about how she never bonded with me. And through metaphysics and healing and learning and growing, we learn not to judge, and we learn to we understand that everybody has their struggles, so don't judge them. And hurt people. And people will come around, you love them, they how they express is based on their past experience and all of that. And so I've been teaching and learning and growing and not understanding what this I had taken hits. I obviously had been taking hits, but this one was, it was like the one that was, it was almost like, to me it felt like it was designed to take me out. And I realize now that no, I had to be built up to a certain point, that even though I felt I was being taken out right there, I had to be built up to a certain point where I actually could withstand something I didn't think I could withstand. Make sense? And excuse me. And I couldn't, even when my mentors told me that, like I couldn't process it at that point in time because everything literally had collapsed. And so it was, my mentor told me I needed to not be vulnerable with my mom. When he talked to me a little bit later, he said you probably would be better off not speaking to her until you get stronger, but it's up to you. And so I said, okay. I went a while without talking to her. But then I decided, no, I'm going to take the high road, and I'm going to come back into contact with my mom. And now, as I'm telling you this story, I started out talking about our people here in this return home to who we are at our core. So as I'm telling you this story, it actually does parallel our story as a people that have been taken, snatched, and even for the ones who lived in this country free, even before people, because we had our people, the true Native Americans, indigenous to this land, that were here before the Ice Age. So even for them, because they have been enslaved within their own land. So my story, I'm saying that to say that my story parallels our greater story, this thing with identity, because I grew up knowing my mom to be very principled, always telling the truth. Um, as a matter of fact, she drilled into me, live by principle so much. I didn't even want to hear anything about principles when I grew up. I didn't know what it was, and it was overbearing. But she was telling me stories about our relationship before I even really knew myself. So I don't really describe our situation as me having a problem with her. I love my mom, but to find out that there was no love there was devastating. So now through different experiences, I'm being prompted to forgive and really really prominent experiences those are stories for another time that led me to know, okay, you need to forgive her. So I did that, taking the high road. She came from Trinidad and was staying with my brother, who had lost his first baby like unexpectedly at 3 years old. So 3 years young. So this was my mom's second time over there. And my sister-in-law was 9 months pregnant. It had been 9 months since she had lost my niece, her first child. And she just wanted her back. She got pregnant. 9 months later, she was there. I'm thinking I'm taking the high road, and I'm talking to my mom like every day. She's telling me about my nephews, how they're doing, all of that. And then one day I get a call from my niece. I get a call from my sister-in-law, and she's telling me, she's crying and she's so upset. She said, sis, I was having me and your brother were having a disagreement, and your mom turned to me and she said, you're the most disrespectful woman that I know, and it's your fault that your baby died. I feel like crying.